Our region's been weathering the national downturn better than most. It's the first time in a generation that the jobless rate has actually been lower here than the national average during a recession. Yet a recession's still a recession, and that means it's a challenge for businesses of all sizes. Every 6 months or so, PNC takes the pulse of the smaller businesses. Todd Barnhart is Senior Vice President with PNC Financial Services, and back here with the results of the latest pulse taking.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
All right, you went out into the market, what, in February?
In February, we surveyed about 500 businesses around the country, generally pretty oriented towards smaller businesses, about 10 million in sales and under.
Okay.
And like some of the more recent times you and I have shared the results of this survey, it continues to look relatively pessimistic out there.
Well, I remember the last time you were here, you'd done the survey in the summer, and at that point, gasoline was around $4
Right.
a gallon, and everybody was worried most. Oh,
Right.
I only wish the price of gasoline would go down.
Yes.
Well, they got their wish.
They did get their wish. I don't think they expected everything else to happen the 6 months after that. But certainly, you know, gas prices and energy prices in general have been something that usually, along with healthcare costs, not surprisingly, shows up near the top of this audience's concern list. And we saw that drop considerably, given that, you know, when you're used to $4 a gallon, $2 a gallon seems pretty good. So, you know, the sense of concern about energy has certainly diminished. But the overall concern about the broader economy is at an all-time low. And probably most interesting, given this, as we've said before, very optimistic entrepreneurial group of business owners, that they're actually more concerned about their own business's prospects to a degree now that we've never seen before as well. So it's starting to get internal, personal, in terms of the way they're feeling about the economy, what's showing up for their own business.
Well, and I remember, if you think about February, national headlines
Right.
everywhere. Everything looked like it was still coming unglued.
Correct.
The stimulus package hadn't been done yet.
That's correct.
Nobody really knew what that was going to look like. And from companies around here I've talked with, their own order books started to soften a little bit, which hadn't been the case last fall. So it's going to get personal when that's happening around you and you begin to see that happening.
Yeah, I think, you know, certainly the recession, if you remember, even probably in the third quarter, right when we did the survey, there was probably still debate about whether we actually were in a recession or not. And certainly it accelerated pretty quickly through the fourth quarter and into the time we did the survey. So I don't think it's surprising what we saw in terms of the results and the way that the business owner is feeling right now. And really in sort of a hunkering down, or I'm going to figure out a way to cope. We'll get through this. Generally, the business owners out there feel like it's going to take the better part of 2009 to work our way through it, but they are, in that sense, optimistic that by the time 2010 rolls around, their own business, the economy locally, and the economy at large should be back on track.
That's been interesting, traveling around just in recent months, just within our region, obviously not all across the country, but talking to business people. And I would describe the mood in general, and it's probably improved a little bit since the beginning of the year, as careful, cautious, but confident that we can manage this.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's a sense of, in any of the results that we saw, a sense of panic. You know, when you know, as we look through the results, nearly half of business owners expect that their sales and profits are going to decrease over the next 6 months. So given that, they're really focused on what are the things I can control. I'm going to cut my costs. I'm going to be very conscious about the amount of debt that I take out. I'm not really going to look for new credit per se. I'll be cautious about using the credit I have. I may try to raise prices a little, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that very well. I'll try to get paid a little faster from some of my customers. You know, the things that they can control, keep a little bit more cash on hand to weather the storm. But in general, again, they feel like that's a short-term view and that, you know, the economy will start to turn. And you mentioned the stimulus package, and that's certainly something that it was interesting. It hadn't yet formed, so nobody really knew exactly what it was going to be when we fielded the survey. Certainly now it's out there in public, so it would be interesting to get a sense of what effect that would have, and I'm sure we'll get that perspective when we go back out in the field this summer. But you know, about half of the audience felt like it's probably going to have some effect, and another half felt like it probably won't. So there was, I guess, a mixed bag of sentiment about whether a stimulus package was really going to have much of an effect, certainly on the economy at large, and not so much on their own personal business. It was hard for them to sort of think about how that's going to affect them personally through this experience.
And only a few seconds left, but I'm wondering, now you're in the banking business, so you're out there actually in real time in the economy as it looks now. What you're seeing now in terms of the way business is being done, does it reflect what's in the survey, or are you seeing a little more optimism and a little more activity?
I do. I think you used the term sort of cautious optimism, and I think that's a good way to summarize it. I think when you talk to the average business person out there, their sentiment probably doesn't reflect the grim outlook, frankly, that shows up in the survey. So I do believe that they are thinking they're going to get through this just fine, and the economy will get through it fine, and better days are ahead. All right. Well, very good. Let's hope that's the case. We'll have you back in the summer to see if it turns out that way. Hopefully that is the case. All right. Todd Barnhart from PNC. Thanks so much. Thank you, Bill. Next up, flying from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg by motor coach. Stay with us.